Let's go. The Feeny Fridays return. Ready to fuck my throat up yet again. But I have a bottle of water, so I'm basically unstoppable. Unless my throat starts hurting, because water doesn't super help with that. Either way, it's fucking Feeny Friday, baby. It's time. We're getting back to it. I don't remember what we were doing. We were in a trial, I guess. I can't believe I was disbarred on Feeny Friday. It's like, well, I mean, if you're gonna be disbarred, it might as well be on a Feeny Friday, you know? Because it turns out I didn't get disbarred, so I must be right, and all other lawyers must be wrong. You're investigating Glenn Elg. Oh, right. In his little, like, little cybersecurity office. Wait, give me, oh, fuck. Sorry, I need to scroll to get to, there we go. You're at Tenderlender? We definitely went to Tenderlender for a bit. I had to scroll down to get my attorney's badge out of a drawer. Let's see. We were in it. Like this was the start of the trial. I called it right before the trial moment. We went to Tenderlender. We did a bunch of stuff. We got a bunch of evidence that surely anyone with their mind screwed on right could figure out without almost dying and having to save to make sure they didn't die on their next 3 random attempts. Cardboard lawyer's badge. It's not cardboard. This one is real that I have. We do have a right. You're right. We do have a cardboard one. There it is. I fucking love this thing. Like, if I went to a convention and I saw a Phoenix Wright cosplayer, and then I saw somebody cosplaying this other guy who was also cosplaying Phoenix Wright, that would be funny as shit. That would be hilarious. I want to see fake Phoenix Wright at a con. Yeah, exactly. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. You okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that! That little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt. That was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better go get to the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal! Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How did you know she was stressed? She's the defendant in a court case right now. Reasons to live. If that is the only purpose I serve it happily. I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me you don't remember this thing. Is this the poison? Come to think of it, this doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. Feeds you a burger. Let's go! Hell yes! Burger moment. This is a small bottle that turned up in Trey Bien's kitchen a couple days ago. Medi said I make all right ones? Hell yes. A true burgerl, if there ever was one. Wow, look at all these little bottles! Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many, they're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's, medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. Oh, so it's Glen Elg's medication from the bag. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glen Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glen Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Glen Elg. Why did they... Yeah, I guess... I knew his name was weird. Why did they make it a palindrome? Is it like... oh, it's backwards? It turns out he was the killer the whole time. All of the employees at both Blue Screens are palindromes? Oh, I didn't even realize. That's so weird. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Oh, check the record? Oh yeah, they would be in the record, huh? Well, it's just her. It's just Lisa Basil. But yeah, that's a palindrome right there. Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour, and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... That's gonna weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Yeah, but it's in the back room. It's in the kitchen. And she was passed out. So... that would mean that Glen Elg ended up in the back room somehow? Or his medication did, at least. So maybe someone who went through his pockets went into the kitchen? Okay, pal. This is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it? Today's trial, I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done. Or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Impregnable evidence. Yeah. Fucking that Tumblr post that's just like, I'm feeling cute and impregnable today. Tanks in Final Fantasy XIV. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo, and I hope he never opens his mouth ever again. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows the victim drank with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, I love that he didn't move his mouth or face to say this. So he's just speaking to the court telepathically right now. The victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet, the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? And we're like halfway through maximum. Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. Dumb fuck. I really appreciate how much people hate this guy, and I'm still not even sure why. Put some bleach in that cup. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. He's a fucking moron. Yeah, but so is 90% of the cast of these video games. Like, nobody's telling the tutorial prosecutor to kill himself. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. I am in fact telling Payne to kill himself. You know, that's fair. That makes sense. Mia might. I mean, I think Mia has the balls to do that, yeah. And today I'll prove it. Very well, let the first witness take the stand. But, you know, Payne doesn't have, you know, persistent, just, like, audible jazz following him around. There's gotta be a reason for that. And you are? Oh, bonjour, everyone. I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Très Bien restaurant. Enchanté. Forgive me for asking, witness, but, are you a woman? Oh la la, monsieur. As you could see, I am la porte and perquet gentleman, no? This is the first time the judge has seen any man wear pink. It's very strange for him. On the day of the incident, you were in Très Bien's kitchen. Isn't that right? With you, monsieur. Everything feels right. Huh. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? Maybe Godot is just like... Godot has very specific tastes. He likes his coffee bitter, but his lover sweet. And French. Very well, your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Très Bien. Oui, volontiers. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art deco that day. Like having a large mirror between la tables, for example. Oui, perhaps that is what la old man was looking at. La coupe, la earpiece, and la glaces. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? A mirror? Oui, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror. Close the wrong tab. I have been destroyed by a simple mistake. My stream finished. And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. Yeah, but he saw the back of the waitress and also didn't recognize her. He only recognized her outfit. And part of it was a bow that Maggie doesn't wear. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. At Très Bien. And who were the 2 customers exactly? Of course, la young man who died. And la other not-so-young man. You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume. What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. You were experimenting with Art Deco? How come I never heard about that before today? You're not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur? Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did, just a few moments ago. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decouture? No, Art Deco. It's a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing. Ah, yes, of course. That deco. I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of le décor. How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Both! Something about 4 meters wide and, about 2 meters high. That is enormous. I feel like that would cover both sides of the restaurant. Let's see, if 1 meter is about a yard. Holy glass in a frame, that's huge! I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. Oh. I mean, I guess, yeah, that would fit the ceiling, probably. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. No, but I decided not to go through with it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? Definitely. If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies. But...
Objection!
You didn't ask, Wright. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Trapian the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trapian, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime. If you want to doubt someone, Wright, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object.
Objection!
Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, Wright, even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-notch chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here? Well, Wright. Oh my god, he's ungodly cool. You can tell because he said it himself. Ah, not the hair! I do not have a top knot! Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. Bien! Logic as one la day. Everything? He would have seen everything in reverse? Hey, Nick, we should take a second think about what old Seedy said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand. If he saw everything he described reflected in a mirror, then everything he said it saw on the left was actually on the right. Huh. And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but... Do you think old Seedy saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in an old man's testimony. We've just gotta dig deeper. Alright, what do we got? He broke the vase. Blueprints of the crime scene. See, it would be impossible to see that from a mirror. Because to have him facing that way, he would have to be sitting in the opposite chair, which he's clearly not. Ear medicine. Experimenting with new Art Deco. Large mirror. Would have seen everything in reverse. I love absolutely not a robot. Cardboard provider Glen Elk. I feel like it's gotta be the picture of the restaurant from where the thing was, because there's no mirror in the picture, if I had to guess. No? No dice? There's no picture in that. There's no mirror in that. Piss. What did he say in his testimony that was so important that they brought it up? Everything in reverse. Because he would have seen the back of his head if the mirror was behind him. Or he would be facing the mirror and he would have seen him in reverse. But then he would have a view of him sitting in the other seat. Wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was left ear, without a doubt. Same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. There's gotta be something in the old man's testimony. Like, the mirror between the tables is so baffling to me. It's like, it's just so ridiculous. I'm not sure how to disprove it. I'm gonna press again and see. 2 customers. Young man and the not young man. Need to figure something out first. This is just about Art Deco, basically. He was trying to make his restaurant more feminine, which is kind of insane. Giant mirror. There's something to do with, like, the mirror being outside of the restaurant, maybe? You would have seen everything in reverse. Yeah, I'm not sure. Call police by payphone. Or an HMD over his left eye. Oh! Because he said that he wore the earpiece in the same ear that he had the same side as the eyepiece. I present. Oh, fuck! That was an unintentional objection. No! And I lose health. Okay. I just need to present Glen Elg. Because he wore it in his left eye. We just know that. That's just truth. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement! You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it is not so odd, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Dumbass. It's like, sir, you presented two things that were wrong and didn't make any sense. Who is really the dumbass? It's like, it's you. You're the dumbass. Order, order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would have expected the victim's eyepiece to be over his right eye.
Objection.
How bitter. Wright, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? You remember this, I presume? The I broke the vase sorry apology left? I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. L? Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. L's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Huh. Well, trite. That's the worst, but best impression of Kudo ever. Was I supposed to be doing an impression of Kudo? Wow, I really thought he was Old Seedy for a minute there. Kudo's good. Wow, I really missed a chance to do more of Old Seedy's voice. Oh well. Oops. I don't have to do that voice more. What a shame. Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in as much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. What? A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court, we're all ears. Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant. Hello? Is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the La Victime. That was the seat at the table next to La Victime's. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. I see no problems with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like these. Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. I hate that guy. You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that? Volontiers, of course. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please. The mirror. So, run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? Oui. Oui? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way.
Objection.
Look who's talking, trite. Huh? You're obstructing my view, among other things. He's on the other side of the room. But, this is my seat in the courtroom! Trapian's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, trite. I tell you, monsieur, la mirror was there, in the middle of the restaurant. And where would that be? Oh la la, look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer. Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once. I attract the older ones too, you know, handsome. Shall I tease you too? I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time. I bet she has a mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Bien, I will tell you. There was only one seat from which you could have seen. So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat? My monsieur, it is obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. La victime would have been reflected in la mirror, like so. If you were sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, no? So that seat, old C, was sitting on that day when the poisoning happened. The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim? Why does that seem kinda odd? Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police? Oui, exactement. I carried it out of la restaurant then. You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself. What can I say? I know how to pick things up, handsome. Godot actually laughed at something. Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong? I look like the obliging type, no? Are you sure about that? I touched nothing except la mirror. Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene? Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly. Suffering from a case of heartburn, trite? Oh, I have just this thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and frankincense. Add a few drops to your coffee and voila. Enjoy. That would taste like shit. Focus, Phoenix. Breathe. I need to ignore those two and just find some evidence. It is pretty strange, though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Seedy. Then the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Très Bien that day. Now I've just got to prove it. Somehow. Well, if we look at this photo... That's the blueprint, never mind. If we look at this photo... We can see the vase is not broken on the table that old CD said that it would be... that he broke it at. So I'm going to present the note. Specifically saying that he broke the mirror and the vase instead of the picture again. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony. This is the letter of apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not? I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony. I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things. What relevance does this scrap of paper have to the trial, Mr. Wright? Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor, because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we've heard, Your Honor. Killing myself if Godot talked down to me? I mean, why wouldn't you just throw his own coffee in his face? I feel like that's the perfect thing to do. The crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist. Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite. Godot, can you cool it for a second? Jesus Christ. I did catch a pen someone threw at me one-handed earlier. That's kind of fucking sick. Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? It's right here. Right there. Take that! There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection.
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Très Bien that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu!
Objection.
Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Ugh. Gah! No! Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear which he couldn't hear? You only get one shot at life. There's no turning back. Corners you cutely. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'd be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it! Are you gonna be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? I don't think so. I don't know what the fuck I could say to prove that. There's more than there's just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample C on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. The victim was a phony, I'm gonna say. Somebody just, like, was posing as him to recreate the crime scene, basically. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet, there's one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Says what normally? Because I don't know how to exclaim in his voice. Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony, pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing his earpiece on the left ear by mistake. Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Bitch! Wright, are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection.
Get real, Wright. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in this testimony was... the servant girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. That's the servant girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but... there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Objection.
Are you insinuating that the waitress in an old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... it's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. That's right. Well, witness? If your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Oh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trabian that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. Apartment complex? It's very confusing. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day. Oui. La victime, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do la acting. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all. Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly. What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. We... For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please. He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Because there's no way that shit is true, and it doesn't explain any of the bullshit. First and last perjury mention ever. Was he alone at his table as well? Mais, oui. I saw him from la kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table. Unfortunately for you, Wright. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. Hey, if you were a Final Fantasy 1 character, what class would you be? I don't really know the classes in Final Fantasy 1. They were basically just, like, fucking, like, D&D classes, right? Because my favorite class in D&D is Rogue, with Monk as a very, very close follow-up. Warrior, Red Mage, White Mage, Black Mage, Monk, Thief. Probably Thief. I would say Thief. Monk, maybe, but monks do different stuff in every fucking game, so I have no idea what I would be going for. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, he comes by for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So, old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. What time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh, no, I cannot remember, monsieur. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 by a kind of scary old man, sir. Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness? The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m., no? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful. I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. Okay. So we have something that mentions a time, I'm sure. The lottery ticket, I think? No. The time of death is really, really close. Oh, they read at the same time every day, you're right. 1:30 p.m. Yes. The Millionaire Radio Flyer. That's what it is. Because he was listening to this at 1:30, which means that he couldn't have arrived that late. Excellent, Valerie. Excellent spot. I'm afraid I've finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. My thought was time of death. Because it always is, because that's always the thing that has time on it. Cool? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be La Show mon elk was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder... You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. Which of those classes do you think Mandy would be? I know she generally goes for like a kind of warrior build, if I had to guess, out of those. Either warrior or red mage, but if I had to guess, I would say warrior. Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving la lunch menu. Get to the point, Shrite, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30. Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it announced he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. No! This victim had been told that we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over, there's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. I love that this image of him looks more like he has the hair that makes me think that this is just fucking, what's his name? Not Phoenix. Don whatever. Don Tigre. Like, just the mullet makes me think that. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Trapian that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection.
Quite a performance, Wright. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain, then, where the real Glen Elg is? He's in the kitchen. I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at that time, the real Glen Elg was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection.
Thank you, Wright. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The kitchen? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. That customer was the phony Glen Elg. Then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Wright. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? Well, what's with this intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Elg concealed? Inside. Bitch. It would be too dangerous to take the body outside, obviously. The body must have been hidden somewhere inside Très Bien. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside Très Bien is... the kitchen, baby! The body was hidden here! I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? I just got it earlier today. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use la very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me. Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Très Bien. Quoi? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? It contains delicious plastic cement. Used for building little freaks out of plastic. I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? Well, hello, sleek avian. welcome to the stream. Cement? That's concrete, baby! That Mr. Elk visited an otolaryngidal clinic and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elk. Glenn Elk's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu! Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No! Order! Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elk? No, he didn't murder. No, he didn't do the murder. He's just an accomplice. Never! I could not do such an horrible thing! No! What is Godot pissed off about now? Oh, hey man, cool it, you're gonna burn your throat. Mr. Godot! That cup is still really full for how many sips he took. The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, it's all, I always down a mug of coffee. Oh, this is a new mug. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. I think he's just pissed because the chef lied to him. How about a brand new flavor in your ear? My H-deficit friend. Because he's French. Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me. Por favor. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong. And por favor is Spanish. The question is, does Godot or Kate Sick drink more cup? Godot definitely drinks more cups than me. I am not as resistant to caffeine as he is. At least not since I got on, like, ADD medication. I can do, like, 1 or 2 cups of full caffeine espresso, personally. And he has a limit for 17 cups in one day, and he breaks that sometimes. At least when he's in court. He probably drinks more, like, outside of court. 17? Yeah. In a previous case, he said he had a limit of 17 cups of coffee for every court case that he's in. And he went past it in the last case. I'd have a heart attack. I know! Maybe he drinks decaf, but, like, you know, if he really respects coffee, he wouldn't be drinking decaf, because that does remove some of the flavor. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No! No, no! Absolutely no! Oh, well, thank you for following, Sleek Avian. Let's hear it. You've got 1 shot, right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make 1 final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. He's not even threatening him with legal action. He's just like, Godot is gonna throw a full mug of coffee at you. As does my gavel. Oh, no, there it is. Oui, it is clear. What do they always say in movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. The confession. It is true. I eat la body in Le Kitchen. Charged with perjury, contempt? Nah, just make him drink coffee. Just make him drink Godot's coffee. That shit is a dark roast and fucking black. No cream, no sugar. Is this guy lit tired? I mean, look at him. He is lit tired. This guy could not handle full force coffee. And I know that because I can't really handle full force coffee. He gives me nightmares. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. Yeah, your $1 million debt. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. I wish I had his curls. They are luxurious. There's no denying this. You were forced by who? I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table? There was. Yes, Phoenix Wright was there. He's right there. The defendant was sitting across from Mr. Elk. I know it to be true. There was another man. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy, and I gotta get him to tell us the name of the real killer. I gotta pick him up and snap him over my knee. Did you carry the body by yourself? Nobody has this spiky hair like you, monsieur. It is a unique look. I very much respect it. It's very handsome. I'm not saying this so you'll be easy on me, I promise. Oui, I carried him. And I carried Maggie too. Maggie too? When she saw la victim collapse, she fainted. And she went to the white blissful dimension where we keep fainted people. There's no color in this picture for that reason. I could not leave her there. But why did you hide the bodies? What man? Who was he? No, I cannot say. I fear for my life. He's really scared. You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick. Yeah, you're right. If you won't tell me, I'll tell him. But why would you go along with this man? And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong? You know, monsieur... Yes? Surely you cannot expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment! A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that. And a bit too male. I can't finish this cross-examination without establishing his reason. So I'll just have to prove it. With evidence. Yeah, it's just the... Oh. Shit. I skipped the end thing. Okay. So, you are claiming that all you did was hide the bodies? Is that correct? Oui, that's right. If we are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this. We have protective custody. That is literally something that we do. He's already confessed this much. He might as well stop dancing around the real issue. Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is. That would make the game too easy. Then sock it to him, Nick. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Kapow. Kerblam. Oh, he only owes $500,000. Never mind. You have a $500,000 debt, don't you? $500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong? That's why I knew you couldn't afford a giant mirror for the ceiling. Oui, je suis désolé. I was weak and I borrowed the money to open my shitty restaurant that sucks and nobody likes. This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. Phoenix Wright. I mean, Furio Tigre. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you. Oui, it is as you say. Mr. Armstrong, the tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. None. I had no flowers or delicious essential oils to drink. I was poor and could not afford a shitty restaurant where nobody likes the food and people just come there to look at other people and ogle my waitresses, who I don't pay, of course. I carried la body and la conscient Maggie out of la dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. I do feel myself kind of slipping into Italian when I try to do the French accent. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well? No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable. Mr. Godot. Travian reviews. Cruddy food, but hey, the waitresses are good for checking out. That's what I'm saying, baby. They got Maggie working there? Hell yes. You will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. I paid $20 for a lobster that tasted like shit, but at least the waitress is cute. 30 minutes. Ooh, what? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. Okay, that's kind of badass. I'll give him that. How the... Don't sit back and relax yet, Wright. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way. Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre... I feel like the judge would pronounce it Tigre. Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then... No, actually, no. He speaks Spanish, so he knows Tigre. Court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. To be continued. January 8th, 1:21 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. So we're finally gonna see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick. I wish I could agree. Huh? When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, I remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified was the truth. You mean, you think Mr. Armstrong was lying? I don't know, but if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're gonna need. Hey, pal! They must have a decent understanding of Spanish in those weird Japanese America place. Yeah. They got Tex-Mex and sushi from the same place. And don't forget the donut onigiri stores. Detective Gumshoe! What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end. Hey, that's a pot calling the kettle black, Little Miss Top Knot. It's not a top knot! Never mind about the hair, just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I kind of get wound up. Ugh! No kidding. You gotta have something you need me to do, pal. Anything. Well, hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you got an hour. An hour? The trial would have reconvened by then. But, Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right? Yeah, they should check the medicine. No, those are probably just the victim's prints. True, without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprint analysis done in an hour? You bet! In that case, would you mind checking the prints on this for me? I mean, this is the only thing that mentions fingerprints that doesn't have identified fingerprints, so... You're gonna back to the station anyway. Could you find out whose prints are on this? Oh, hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right? Yeah, I think it's time we solved the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to. Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawing at me, too. Okay, I'll get this off to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back. Sure? This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess. It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. January 8th, 1:56 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Good old reliable gumshoe? Hell yeah! Court will now reconvene, Mr. Godot. Did you find this Furio Tigre? I even tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job. No problem. Tamed him? The guy's name may be Furio Tigre, but come on. He's pretty lively. Be careful. He still bites. Very well, please show Mr. Tigre to the stand. Witness, please state your... Ah! Don't hide under the table, Maya. Unless there's room for me down there, too. What'd you say to me? Nothing. I didn't say nothing honest. Who could have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent into the judge? I got business to take care of, you hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spiky? No, of course not. It was the judge. Your Honor? Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where on earth is it? Don't mind me, just carry on with the proceedings as normal. That's it. We're doomed. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout. We can all hear you. What'd you say? There's no point struggling. You're caught in a snare. The relentless snare of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in. Too cool. Don't let him get the better of you, Nick! Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct? Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, mask boy. You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird? Maggie who? I got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder. Phoenix Wright. You was the one who got this, who set this up, didn't ya? You's gonna regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying? Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Yeah, Phoenix shit himself. Get a grip, Nick! The tiger's alibi. I don't know nothing about no murder. The day the murder happened, I was sitting inside of a tanning boot bed all day. That's how I get this unique orange glow, you hear me? Yes, literally glow. It's radioactive. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all of my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from Tenderlander every single day. You want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. At last I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examiner... Ah! What is it? Please, witness, if you could refrain from shouting out like that. I know the kind of games that guy in the blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins. Lowlife? Me? Listen up, smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000. And you's gonna borrow the cash from me. That's one loan contract I refuse to sign. And don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangle with the tiger. I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute. That's really not... This witness is... How can I put it? A hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours, too. Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here. You son of a bitch! You's better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus. The court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of witness testimony. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. You can do it, Nick! Come out from under there already, would you, Maya? Okay, well, I gotta think about this. Nothing about no murder, tied up with business, spent all time in office. Spent all of my time in my office. Are you sure about that? We're talking about it 1 month ago, you know. You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is. Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cadaverini? She writes everything in my scheduler. December, mainly in the office. That's what it says, so that's where I was. That seems like a rather, sketchy schedule. There he goes again. What the tiger did all December isn't the issue. What's important is what was he doing on the day of the murder. So now what? I mean, I should press because it does matter. Mr. Tigre, what do you want? If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail. This is a dead-end trite, and you know it. No, I don't. I'd like to know what he did on the day of the murder. Remember the rules. No, it's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately. I agree. The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day, too? Maybe you ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanted to do business with me. I ain't never seen that young kid before. I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Godot, if you could please... Mr. Tigre, the court asked you add that last statement to your testimony. Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honor, and ask him yourself. I never saw that kid before. Impossible. Meeting with the tiger. Mr. Tigre, you claim you didn't know Mr. Glenn Elg, but it appears that Mr. Elg knew you. What? Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the tiger. And the date? December 3rd. December 3rd? That's the day of the murder. So, Mr. Tigre, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenn Elg. Because on the very day of the incident, you met with him. This guy is fucking orange. The fact that his suit is this orange and his skin almost matches it is still crazy to me. Not bad. You was actually not bad. Sorry? I was just messing with you to see how good you were. Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad. He committed perjury just to see how cool you were. That's one compliment I can do without. Plus, he's lying through his teeth. Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated. You calling me a liar? Is that what you're doing? Ruh-roh! So you're saying that your claim to have never seen that kid before is the truth? I said I'm dead serious. You better believe that's the truth. Then I'd say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. That is, while you testify for the court again, Mr. T. Gray. Oh, yes, would you mind indulging the court, witness? You never actually met the victim. That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. I ain't no liar. I never met Glen Elk. There was some lame guy with that name, though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, Tenderlender. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed. I ain't never been to that Trapian joint, you hear? I see. That all seems perfectly logical. You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up. I've heard it's pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you, right? Can I still not press everything? Never met Glen Elk. Some lame guy with that name, though, wanted to borrow cash from me. Set a meeting with him at the office. Waited around, he never showed. I ain't never been to that Très Bien joint, you hear? Alright, what do we got? Ah, here we go. Easy. Oh, let me press this first, just to make sure I should present. Never, not even once. Not even once. I was in my office the day that went down. I didn't put no poison in no kid's coffee. Capiche? Do you think you really didn't meet Glen Elk? Not likely. Because I'm convinced this guy's behind the whole thing. So you mean that whole testimony you just gave was a lie? Of course. So we can't afford to give him time to think of ways to plug the leaks in it. I've got to nail him while I still can. Mr. T. Gray, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches? Matches? What you talking about? We found them in your office at Tenderlender. They're from that restaurant. Oof. If you've really never been to Très Bien before... What was a book of the restaurant's matches doing on your desk? You've been snooping around in my snuff now too, wise guy? What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no broad controlling me. What? Order, order. Well, witness, I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Sorry, I'm terribly sorry, forgive me. I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But okay, I was at the joint that day. What? But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid. Well, well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony. I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glen Elk that day, and he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. Hold it! If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the normal express. No more stupid questions. No problem. Anytime Trey presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty. Mr. Godot, that's my job! Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. I feel like every single prosecutor I've gone against, except maybe Payne, has said this exact line. So do it. Yes, sir. The Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so you know, since you's paying. Oh, man. Doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? I don't think Edgeworth did. Yeah, he might not have. But I know Francisca definitely did. I'm pretty sure Von Karma did. I'm not sure about... Well, he wasn't a prosecutor. So I split, heard the cop sirens on the way out. Manfred does and Franzi does as a reference to him. That's what I figured, yeah. He wouldn't have been able to see him from the door. Godot just sucks. An ugly scene, what do you mean?
Objection.
The witness has already told us, Trade, which makes that question irrelevant. But, oh yeah, I should have pressed the body thing. God damn it. I limit myself to 17 cups of coffee during a trial. See, there we go. That's the rule. You better limit the number of times you take a penalty, Trite. I'm trying, or your guts will look like the inside of a chimney. Ashen. What? Don't make me burn you again, Mr. Wright. Yeah, there we go. I guess I shouldn't have pressed him on that. Guess I'm gonna make the Special Express after all. So to recap, this ugly scene you saw was... You mean you saw Glenn Elk's dead body? I guess I did, but I only saw him from behind. He was wearing some raggy bit of cloth he called a hat. And what time was this? I don't know. Huh? You know what winds me up more than anything else in the world? Watches! Round watches! I ain't gonna pollute my paws with some ticking henpecker. Out of interest, Mr. Tigre, what winds you up the second most? Huh? What you think? Square watches. That's very confusing. Is this guy for real? Look, all I needed to know was that something bad was going down in that place. So I'm gonna... Should I show the floor plans, or should I show... I think the floor plans is the best way to do this, because you can see the door. You're something of a loan-collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigre? Do you remember my favorite Final Fantasy class? I'm pretty sure that it's Red Mage, but I might be wrong. No one escapes the tiger's clutches. Well, I'm something of a lie-detecting pro. Let's go, Red Mage win. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this, Trite? A new line of irrelevant questioning? These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigre. From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this. Indeed, the witness could have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head. Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition. Why, that's true! Now, look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. So, from the entrance of Trebian, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day because you met with him.
Objection.
Wrong. Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table. Yeah, during the phony shit that we already established happened. But the defense just proved that point to be moot. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glenn Elg, but a fake. What? Did you literally forget? In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed as the victim he had just killed and acted out of charade. That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without obvious question being answered. Who exactly was the real killer who impersonated the victim? You say the killer murdered Glenn Elg, and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Victor Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of this criminal to the court. Kerblam! Obviously, the killer is Furio Tigre. No one else could have done it. What? Well, witness? Now that's cute. You think you could pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand. The tiger is king of the jungle. So I dares you to say it again. Come on, you got the guts. You can't threaten me, Mr. Tigre. It's the defense. Go and tell the witness, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright! Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You's got guts, I give you that. Mr. Wright, do not leave me to handle this alone. Perhaps I can end this embarrassment. Mr. Godot. Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see just the victim. Oh, no, no, no. The servant girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it. She very conspicuously put some white powder in there. Imagine trying to kill someone and doing something extremely conspicuously. Like, you just rip open a little packet that says poison and you just, like, pour it in there and you look around and make sure everybody's watching. Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains he saw the accused put the poison in the coffee. Wait, we're gonna address this now? Yes, it was the waitress who poisoned the coffee. Very impressive, Mr. Godot, waiting for my absence to launch your attack. Found your pen at last, Wright? It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenn Elg, and the waitress. From behind. Yes, your point, Mr. Wright. I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenn Elg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well? The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her. Who on earth was it? Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed? You know it was the only girl in the story with hair like that. It was Viola Cadaverini. Who is this woman? Her name is Viola Cadaverini. She's an employee of Tenderlender. You's making a big mistake. Do you know who Violetta's grandfather is? You better be going home in an armored truck tonight if you know what I mean. Stop shaking, Nick. Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, has stated the following. Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy, and she had kind of a cackling laugh. There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table who nobody but Mrs. Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when the eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There's only one logical explanation that clears up all of these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice. Once for real, and once for show. And Mr. Furio Tigre, the only person who could have committed the crime, is you. Witness, what have you got to say? That's cute. Sorry? You's alright. I could do with a guy like you around. What do you mean? Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get me to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go. Something to think about? You's got it all wrapped up nice, huh, Wright? But you's missed out one real important thing. But that can't be. I was in the joint that day, and I met that kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him, you hear? What, do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tigre? What a troublemaker. Troublemaker? Looks like we're gonna need another one for the road. 18th cup of coffee. One more steaming cup of hot testimony. Indeed. Witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Très Bien between yourself and the victim? Please, tell us. Yeah, I loaned El cash. About $100,000. That day, we was due to have a little chat. That kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won $500,000. He got lucky, no? Real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she done, everything would have been over. No, I see the principal amount you owed to Mr. Elk was $50,000. Yeah, well, you got the VIG to take that into account. Interest builds up fast, you know? That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal. And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case. His motive? He has to have one, but what is it? The waitress, you mean? The girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair. Who else could I mean? If she hadn't gotten away, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with. Maybe I should push a little on this. Ask how things would have been. What do you mean things would have been over and done with? Are yous all there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 back. That's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way. As far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tigre had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said. The tiger's motive, huh? I was after the $100,000. I got no reason to kill the guy. Oh, what about his cool disc? So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elg owed you, correct? Igiari? What's that? I loaned the guy cash, so that's my right. Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, I don't believe the $100,000 is what you were really after.
Objection.
What are you getting at, trite? What else would a moneylender be after other than money? Objection in Japanese. Oh. Oh, the moneylender was after money, but money in a totally different league. The kind of money that a single disc like this would fetch. What is that? A computer virus, Your Honor. A virus called MC Bomber. A computer virus? What does one of those do? A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer. A computer? What does one of those do? I guess the beard isn't the only part of His Honor that is from the Stone Age. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Several $1 million? I'm a computer. Stop all the viruses. End it. Get me my money. Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glen Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial. What? Glen Elg was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Objection.
You're trying to suggest the witness's motive was to get hold of that program. Exactly. The witness may have poor fashion sense, but he is by no means an idiot, Trite. A man like him could get his hands on $1 million without resorting to murder. Of course he could, provided he had time. But what if he had needed the money right then? When the pressure's on, the luxury of choice tends to disappear. It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? Why did Mr. Tigre need money to the tune of $1 million? In December of last year, you found yourself in need of a huge amount of money. About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter in which a young woman was injured. The person in the car, of course, was the one that was more seriously injured, which makes total sense. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. How much of this do you know? These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. And yet, when the payment was due last month, you somehow managed to pay it in full. $1 million? A preposterous sum. Someone should sue these HMOs. No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue. But Mr. Tigre had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it. Order, order, order. You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright? Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini. Did you say Cadaverini? Bruto Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Bruto Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glen Elg's life to pay your debt. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigre's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glen Elk had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tigre knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigre would prefer to say never happened, but he can't, and neither can I. The lottery win. Exactly! At the 11th hour, Mr. Elk won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tigre with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means. That's crazy. He murdered Glen Elk and then made his next move. To frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigre posed as Glen Elk, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo. Like I said, Wright, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef would have been kept in the dark about it. But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigre's plan. Order, order. Silence, Rouker. Yous put on a good show, Spiky. If yous want to stay alive in the loan sharks business, you gotta be careful. You was saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that. I agree. You do? Despite your appearance, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Miss Bird had no way out. What? Another one, Mr. Wright? Interesting. Why don't you fill us all in, Wright? What was the trick you say Mr. Tigre performed to frame the accused?
Take that!
Okay. And what's the relevance of that, Trite? It's, just a little intro. An intro into what? It seems all this has been an elaborate trick on the... What do you mean? That's what he did! What? Mr. Tigre did play a trick! A huge trick! Interesting. Why don't you... Okay, I guess I'll do it again. Like, this is the trick he pulled. It was this. I had fucking... It's... Paper badge. What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation. Consider yourself insulted, Your Honor. And also, you're both fucking idiots for not being able to connect the dots when I showed you the magazine that said that I was trounced. Our hair is the same. Dumbass. Stupid. Mr. Tigre, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago, in this very court, you posed as me. What? That's the truth. But the witness looks nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Although, now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here this very court a mere month ago. The Phoenix Wright who put up the most disreputable, shabby defense I've ever seen.
Objection.
Can you prove that, Gramps? Prove the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was this man? Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that it was him? Hey. Hey. Forget about it. Yeah? I wouldn't do something like that. Not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh? His hair's all droopy. Have you no pride, sir?
Objection.
This isn't a matter of pride. In a case you didn't know, Wright, here in court we deal with people's lives. Mr. Godot is right. Your Honor? Speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced. The attorney in question was the witness standing before me now. However, I preside over this court as the judge, with the vested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot be swayed by memory without evidence to support it. No! Oh. Shit. If the defense has no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness. The circumstances surrounding Mr. Tigre are dubious for sure, but not conclusive. But we've come so far! You say he impersonated Glenn L. You say he impersonated you. But none of that adds up to a murder charge. I know she ate a washing machine. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee. Nigga. Grower. Who ate a washing machine? Huh. I love when they revert to their normal sprite after they get reassured that they're fine. Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get mauled. You got that? All we managed to do here was chase him around a bit. I was so close to getting him to admit his own guilt. Dottie Valhalla. Oh yeah, that gif is so funny. Did you see they were making like little Fumos of them that are on Amazon that are like available for pre-order now? I would love to get all of them, but they're like $26 each, which is crazy. I think the Dottie and Jill ones look the best, but like, come on, you gotta get the boss. Looks like I won't be needing a refill. If I just had one more piece of evidence, I'm gonna save right now. Someone posted pop-up parade, so I went to the Good Smile website. Makes sense. One more piece of evidence, and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook. I would only want Jill. That makes sense. I mean, if Gumshoe busts in right now with the fingerprints, then we're good. This witness's cross-examination is over. You're free to go, Mr. Tigre. I ordered a Motoroid and 2 other things. Shin-Getter 1. See, here it is. Here he is. It's good old Gumshoe. Your Honor, sir. Wait! Detective Gumshoe. Sorry I took so long, pal. I staked everything on this. My badge, the works. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too. What is it, Detective? Isn't it obvious, pal? It's the final, decisive piece of evidence. What? January 8th, 2:48 p.m. District Court Defendant Lobby Number 1. Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results from the lab. The results? About the prints, pal, from this medicine bottle. Oh, so? Do you know who the prints belong to now? Do you think I'm some kind of hack detective? Of course I know. So, tell us. They're the tigers, right? I knew it. They're definitely the victims, right? You bet. Clear as crystal all over the bottle. They're Furio Tigre's paw prints, alright. Okay, no, fair enough. That's great! We got him now, Nick! What's wrong with you? You've hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for this, Nick. I know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't make any difference whose prints are on that bottle now. Huh? What? Why not? What we need to produce at this stage in the trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glenn Elk's coffee. He already admitted that he met the victim. The fact that his prints are on this bottle, that really doesn't make any difference now. I knew it. Great. No matter how hard I try, I'm never of any use. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. This was our last chance to help Maggie. And I've been working on some useless piece of evidence the whole time. I mean... Bottle of poison. It only bears Maggie's fingerprints. Never mind. I thought it had Maggie's fingerprints and some, like, muddled prints or something. We might be able to, like, match them to the other bottle, but no, I guess not. It's alright. I'm a real loser. It's not breaking news to me, pal. Detective Gumshoe? Maggie! You've been working on something. For me? Sorry I let you down, Maggie. I know you didn't do it. And I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. Alright, I'm unshrimping, and I'm going to have some water. I'm really sorry. I'll get out of your hair now. Detective Gumshoe, wait! He is gone. Isn't there anything we can do now, Nick? I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get that evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. You could say it was poison, and then get him to admit it, and then reveal that it was not actually the poison. But that's likely to get you, kill him, like, fully murdered. Shows my attorney badge. Yeah, this should be enough to get him arrested, right? Send him to fucking jail. I have an attorney's badge. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? I granted you a recess so you could prepare this decisive evidence you've discovered. Yes. Don't keep us all in suspense, Trite. Show us. Naturally, we can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we? Think, Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste. How much more of my time are yous gonna waste? I ain't been to no court before, but yous lawyers sure know how to blow things out of proportion. No doubt, given the nature of the evidence, it will speak for itself. Nevertheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright. Well, I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner here, but maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down a bit. Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Maybe if he thinks he's got me beat. Well, I only have the one pip left, so I hope this works. This is the defense's final piece of evidence. Isn't that the victim's... Your Honor? Naturally, the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified some fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. T. Gray. What? But, Mr. Wright, what conclusion are you hoping to draw from this new information? Everyone in here knows what this bottle contains. Except one man. One person in this courtroom should theoretically be in the dark. My prints are on that pansy-looking bottle. Is that what you're saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway? a phony trial, a phony lawyer, and phony clues. Everything about this case has been a phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some phony evidence. Mr. Tigre, this is the decisive piece of evidence that will prove your guilt. Why? Because it contains potassium cyanide. This bottle contains potassium cyanide. Potassium cyanide? Phoenix is just like, oh, it's okay when I do it. Isn't this something that, like, fucking causes him to retire later? Or is that something different? Like, because he falsified evidence? The poison used to murder... I mean, I guess he's only falsifying it for one witness, but that's still fucked up. The poison used to murder Mr. L, Your Honor. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tigre, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that? You'd make a good clown, you know that. What? Yous ain't never gonna get this to stick. Yous just making me laugh now. You think a chief bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger? A bluff? I can see straight through you, Phoenix, Wright? That ain't the bottle with the cyanide in it. No, this is the bottle we found traces of the poison in. Don't mess with the tiger, you're gonna get ripped to shreds. Okay, the tiger, what does the bottle that was used to poison him look like? What's the finger feel? The cyanide bottle was brown, and it was made of glass. That cheap piece of trash don't look like nothing like it. Excellent. There we go. Hey, the tiger. What, how did it feel to hold it? Like, was it smooth glass? Was it matte? Like, come on, give us some more details. Got him at last. What? Why is everyone going quiet? I said that bottle... Is this the bottle you're referring to? I mean, I like brown glass bottles. They hold nice. Oh, yeah, no, brown glass bottles are nice. Oh, ooh. I apologize for that. Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle with the cyanide was in. But yous ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let that cozy-looking suit fool you, people. That lawyer's just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell that guy where to go. You still haven't figured it out? Don't you realize what you just said? What I said? What did I just say? You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in. But just now, you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison. Yous don't know who yous messing with. I'm the tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. Yous think I'm just gonna let some jumped-up suit get the better of me? Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. The phony trial with a phony lawyer, it was all played out by you, the biggest phony of all. That was a big one. I think he's going Super Saiyan. Oh, he's unleashing his blast. Oh. I think the lights went out. What's going on? Looks like a blackout. Well done, Wright. Oh, there we go. I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Why did you throw it at me? Savor it. While you watch the police restrain your prey. You couldn't have just handed me the coffee? It would have been nice. We would have had a bonding moment. Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go. No, he hates you. Fair enough, I guess. At least show some kind of begrudging respect. Now then, how are things going with Mr. Tigre, Mr. Godot? He is being arrested on suspicion of murder of Glen Elk, Your Honor. Fortunately for us, we managed to rectify a very grave error. Miss Bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney. Yes, she was. And in the absence of genuine evidence. But the tiger made one mistake. Indeed. He very nearly got away with everything if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. Furio Tigre is a truly frightening criminal. I thought we'd have Viola on this stand, to be honest. I really thought it would, like, turn out that she was the mastermind or something. The truly frightening one is that defense attorney over there. Godot. Well, I'm now in a position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird, not guilty. Get out the confetti, everybody. Let's go. Yippee! I love this part. Yay! Confetti, wahoo! That is all. This court is adjourned. January 8th, 4:10 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Mr. Wright! I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Maggie. I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago. But now I feel like I can forgive him. Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. It was the tiger. Look, Nick. In the doorway. Detective Gumshoe. Oh, I guess I'll be heading off then. See you around, pal. Wait! Detective Gumshoe. Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie. Thanks. I knew you were innocent all along. Why didn't you say that in your testimony, then? Huh? Oh, well, I was... Well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around. Wait up, detective! He just ran off. Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle. That wasn't even of any use. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles. Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him. Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick? Yeah, Maya's right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. I'm gonna save. I'm like 90% sure that it's the weenies. Maggie? You know, Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you through all this. I wanted to believe that, sir. But on that first day of the trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up. He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He had to report the facts. He doubted me, that's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. It's the fucking weenies. Handmade lunchbox fills the stomach with love and weenies. It's gotta be this. Here you are. A present to celebrate your freedom. That's a present from Detective Gumshoe, made with a ton of love. He said you lost weight and he was worried about you. Detective Gumshoe... I actually really like weenies, you know? Yeah, it was really obvious. I'm so glad they added a sound effect for that. That's so fucking funny. It's also basically how I'm feeling right now. Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know. Yeah, the trial dragged on a bit today, didn't it? Is it okay if I eat this now? Yay! delicious weenies. So how is it, Maggie? It's really good. Maya looks so enthused. She is so happy. She doesn't even have a burger right now, and yet she's so happy for someone else having weenies. Oh fuck, these are auto-scrolling. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have all been cleared up. And who knows? Maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. One where she doesn't get accused of murder again. Unlikely, though, because I know her. And everyone I know gets accused of murder every day. Except for Gumshoe. Turnabout beginnings! Oh my lord, that shit looks fucking crazy. That guy has a knife and they're on a rope bridge. That's fucking insane. I will save my progress. And I am fucking starving, so I am going to end the stream about halfway point. I think you can always expect Phoenix Wright or like VN streams to last like about half, and if I go further than that, it's just because I'm on a groove. The next one is just a trial. Really? That's kind of cool. But we will find out about that later. Because I'm going to send you guys to someone to raid. Because I am starving. I'm going to see if I can, like the tutorial. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm gonna send you guys somewhere to raid. It looks like level 1 cleric is playing Okami HD, which is fucking sick. I'm gonna see if I can get some burgers for myself, because I'm really craving like something hot and delicious. I will see you all later. On Sunday, we're gonna be continuing Voices of the Void, which I am very much looking forward to. So I hope to see you all there. Have a good night and a good weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.